So next year I try out for the Dolphins. That's what Dan Moreno should.
Hey, what's up? Aaron Murray here, and we got the UGA Letterman Offensive Breakdown Show getting us ready for a hell of a game this weekend, Georgia versus Kentucky. We're going to do a little rewind, look back at this past weekend, the game versus Auburn there in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and then we'll preview as well the game versus the Wildcats this weekend in Sanford Stadium. I got, as always, Ben Jones, Tavarres King, Knowshon Moreno joining us, got all the position groups, all the former greats for the University of Georgia. Ben Jones, well, 4-year starter at center for the University of Georgia. TK, like 7-year starter at the receiving position, and Knowshon Moreno, a 3-year starter at the running back position. TK, how many years did you play? You got that 5 years in because
man,
you got hurt.
I played 5 years. I got a medical because Knowshon broke my ankle.
Yo, stop. Yo, he loves doing this.
That's what
Stop
happened,
it.
bro. That's what happened. I just be telling the truth.
Tell him to block and not look back.
Right.
Wait, what happened?
Keep
I
those
missed
feet
this.
moving.
You know that boy a highlight reel. Sometimes you got to look back and see what's going on. I look back, that boy was on my ankle, boy. So yeah, I got a little medical.
Damn, Knowshon. Did you break it, or was it a sprain?
Yeah, I broke it. I fractured it. So yeah.
Damn, Knowshon.
Hey, I don't even remember that though. I think you're not telling the truth, bro.
Man, somebody
game.
Nah, I mean,
I remember that.
nah, for sure. Nah, I know it was something, but hey, I was just trying to get up out of there. Goodness gracious.
Hey, listen, it cultivated a beautiful friendship.
Hey, for someone listening to this show or watching the show, if you can find the highlight, please record it, send it to us, and we'll put it on next week's show to get to the bottom of this of how TK got hurt his freshman year for the University of Georgia. All right, well, let's get into it. Georgia last week took care of business somewhat on the road. I guess not somewhat. They did. They won the damn game. Like, you played to win the football game. Georgia won the football game 27-20. They did what they needed to do. They went, they conquered, they came back home, still undefeated as they get ready to take on Kentucky this weekend. And I'm just going to go around the horn. I'll start with you, Knowshon, first. Just big picture. We'll dive into the nitty-gritty after this and kind of go position specific. But I know there's a lot of fans kind of upset, well, it's Auburn and they're not that good and it's a first-year head coach. What did you take away from that game?
At the end of the day, I had a feeling it was coming. We talked weeks prior about how they weren't really. I mean, they were taking care of business in the first couple of weeks versus like the UT Martins, those teams. But it didn't look super dominant. So I knew it was coming. We had a feeling that this tough game was going to come once the SEC games got rolling. That they were going to be in some dogfights, and shoot, Auburn came to play. You know what I mean? I knew it was going to be a close one, not this close, but I knew it was going to be a close one, and it's not going to get any easier. I mean, we did look at their schedule and say, "Oh, it's an easy schedule," but at the end of the day, it's still SEC games. It's still other teams that are going to come up and want to knock you off your pedestal. You feel me? So, and now the blueprint's almost out now. A lot of teams are going to look at this Auburn game and they're going to be like, all right, there's some places we can attack them at. So we got to definitely make sure that, they're doing the self-scouting and looking at that film and making sure they cover up those holes that Auburn was able to take advantage of.
Well, Ben, I'm glad I did not bet my mortgage or Sharon's Christmas present on that.
You said that.
I refrained. I was close. I just did a little bit. So I lost a little bit. But I got it back with Alabama covering that spread versus Mississippi State. So we had a wash, but it was. I was shocked.
Got that 20 piece.
I thought 14 and a half. I was like, no way Auburn covers this. Ben, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's how we've been playing every week. We start slow. We got to wake up. Kirby gives them a halftime speech. Whatever happens, they somehow get it done in the second half. Play well, but this week turnovers. We had 2 turnovers, and Auburn played their best game, and that's what you're going to get from teams in the SEC. You're the national championship back-to-back years. You're going to get everybody's best shot, and if you don't come out, one of these teams are going to knock you off. And then you can be like, oh, these guys haven't lost. They don't know what it means to lose. So a slow start to them, like, oh, we're going to figure it out by the end of the game. They got to figure it out before one game is going to be too late. So they got to wake up earlier in games.
TK?
Yeah, I mean, just what those guys just said, man. I think the slow start is something that's becoming a common theme for this team, and it can't be a thing in the SEC. I mean, hats off to our guys for going out there and coming out with a win, because we all know how hard it is to play in Jordan Hare Stadium. But the slow starters aren't going to get it done. I mean, a couple of plays early in that game, like the Carson Beck throw down the middle to Oscar Delp that he missed. I think plays like that change games. I mean, you guys know it's a momentum game. If he hits that, it's a different kind of feel early on in that game. So I think that we got to connect and start fast. I think that's something that everybody here said. Everybody in Dog Nation knows, because if we're gonna continue to win games and be undefeated and be the team that we want to be at the end of this thing, and that's Natty champs, then we got to start way faster, bro. You can't start like that in this league at all. So I think that's definitely a big component to what we got to fix.
I want to go into something that Ben brought up, and that was the target on the back, because we it's said a lot of Georgia has a massive target on their back. You're going to get everyone's best. I want you guys, if anyone has been in a situation where you were facing a former champion, like has there ever been a moment in your life where you were facing the Georgia of the world, whether it's in high school, college, or the NFL, and describe that week of preparation, what it meant to say, hey, I'm going against Georgia. Are you doing more in practice? Are you doing more film work? Are you doing more in the weight room? Like, what does it truly mean for teams going against a team like Georgia and the way they prepare extra heading into a game like that? Has anyone had that experience of facing the big dog at some point in their career?
I mean, I guess 2012 when we played Bama, they were kind of viewed as somebody that was like that. But
how'd that change your preparation though? Like, did you do anything different or act different because you're facing Alabama? And if it is, I mean, it goes into what we're describing of what teams act like when they face Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we as a whole, I think everybody as a whole kind of honed in a little bit more, obviously because the implications of the SEC championship, but just facing a team that you knew was going to come out and be dominant in every facet of the game, you kind of had to and wanted to hone in more to defeat that and to be good and come out on top. So that being said, you got to think though that Georgia knows that. To Ben's point, we haven't lost in 2 years, bro. We got to know that target's on our back. You got to know. You got to prepare the same way, like number two. You know what I'm saying? So you got to. I don't know. I think there's a little different edge right now.
But that is exhausting too. I'll let you other two jump in too. But like, they're preparing for that week because it's Georgia. You're having to prepare every week because everyone else is preparing to prepare for you. So it is exhausting having to every week take your mental and physical ability to that top level to match the other opponent. So I do think I would think at some point it does get a little bit fatiguing. Ben, any experiences or thoughts on all that?
Yeah, the one that comes to my mind is beating Tom Brady in New England in the playoffs. It doesn't happen. And we beat him in 2019 in his place, his last game in Foxborough. And I remember Vrabel the whole week. You got to be mentally and physically exhausted when this game's over. Every scenario, everything you can do for 1 week, because your season's over if it's not. And that's how these teams are playing. In college, you lose 1 week, your season's over. Yeah. That's how we are in the playoffs. So the amount of film we watch, the amount of, literally every scenario that could show up, this defense, that defense, we didn't want to have to be like, oh, I wish I would have covered that in the meetings. So we literally put it all in, and we went up there and won in Brady's house, which nobody ever does. Bill Belichicked him with doing the little poison at the game and got like 5 minutes off the clock. We're doing like a jump off sides, take a penalty on punt, do all this.
Yeah,
we use their game against them. So that was pretty special doing that. And that's how everybody treated them for 20 years. Like, you couldn't beat him in the playoffs.
No, Knowshon?
Yeah, I think the same with these fellows were saying, and same thing, Ben. That Tom Brady Jones, where that week going into that game is like, bruh, we got to be on our P's and Q's. And I mean, I feel like every week was like that, especially with Peyton Manning. I mean, he knew the book front and back. You know what I mean? So, but that I felt like that preparation, that what's the word I'm looking for? That um, just every week you have to go through going through those situations and making sure everything front and back. I mean, going through those situations, you kind of thrive off of that. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
have the bullseye on your back, but it's like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Come get us, and we those dogs. You know what I'm saying? So at one point, I agree with you guys. I understand that it could get fatiguing, but it ain't like these guys were doing it for 4 years. I mean, the most is probably 2 years of having
true.
that bullseye on your back. Like the Bowers and the lads and the guys like that's been here. But for some of these guys, it's brand new, so it shouldn't be fatiguing. You know what I mean? You should thrive off of this and be like, let's get it. But it happens. It happens. It's not going to stop. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of got to go. We kind of got to just take it for what it is. The players aren't what they were in the past either, so it's going to be a little difficult. It's going to be tougher. It ain't going to look the same. So it is what it is.
No, definitely does not look the same. Especially this is an offensive show, so we'll give a little jab to the defense. But defense, come on, baby, we got to stop that run. Let's get into some of the more specifics here. TK, I'll start with you first. Like, it was so good to see Lad McConkey on the field, and it felt like every time he was on there, he was making plays.
Yeah.
Or even, I illustrated the decoy of, they actually went off Bowers and gave Bowers opportunity to win the touchdown because they went to McConkey because he'd been making so many plays when he was on the field. How was his impact, and what did you see from him?
It was huge. I think, he didn't get the full chunk and the full load of plays that he would get on a normal, game day. But when he came into the game, it was critical third down situations. You said it. He made plays. And then finally, he made so many plays. That last play, we used the decoy, went in there, set it down, pulled that backer out of there for Brock to get in there. Carson throws it, and 19 does what he does. But it was huge getting him back. I think I said it last week. He's a phenomenal asset to have to that group. And it takes a little pressure off 19, as you saw there at the end. So having him back and getting him more plays, I think will add to a little bit more explosiveness from this offense, and you'll see more chunk plays as well.
Yeah, hopefully. And moving on to the offensive line, Ben, we were all debating on a group chat last night, like what was going on, the movement, moving guys in at the right tackle position, moving guys around the left guard position. What did you see from that offensive line? Because I was a little bit perplexed at times, especially in the run game. Like, I think we both agree, pass game is great. That run game, they're like, what are you seeing big picture from that unit?
Yeah, it's one person every run, and that's guys are going out there that run out the ball and missing. Like in the run game, you have one guy in the hole, runs dead. They're protecting their butts off. They're max prep. They're bringing the house on them. I know one early. Carson stepped up and delivered the ball. He was hot. He took one to the chin though. But after that he kept it rolling. But they haven't meshed. They're moving guys around. You can tell they haven't found their five yet, and they're trying to find it. With Mims being out, they're waiting for him to get back, and they're just holding on and be like, all right, we know Mims is coming back soon from his ankle, so let's just try to find our best fit. So that's why they're rotating guys, and hopefully Mims is back soon.
God, it's just mind blowing because I thought that was going to be the best offense, and they still can't be. Like, we're middle of the season. There's still a lot, like you said, get Mims back and just solidify, like Searle solidify that front, that 5-man, line, and let those guys continue to build on the communication. We'll hit a little bit on that communication when we look forward to the game versus Kentucky. Knowshon, I'll let you finish it off here at the running back spot. 3.6 yards per carry. That ain't going to get it done. It's a mixture of what Ben said, guys whiffing up front, but as a whole, I mean, we feel like we've been bringing up the running backs more times than not this year, not in a positive light. Your overall takeaways?
Yeah, I didn't really see too much into that 3.6. I mean, there's a lot of different people that carried the ball. Beck had a couple, Bowers had a couple. But for what it was, I think Edwards did run really hard. He had 76 yards on the ground. He averaged 4. And when Dylan Bell came in there, he got a couple carries, and he averaged a pretty decent amount as well, right? So my 2 main 6.3, right? So my 2 main guys, at least are going out there and getting it done. But this game,
that's your 2 main guys.
Well, I'm just saying those are the 2.
Those are the 2 right now.
Okay,
those are the 2 right now. Hey, did Milk come in at any time?
No, it's just those 2, man. It's
yeah.
And I'm fine with, honestly, I'm fine with those 2. Like, I like Dylan at running back. I think he should be getting more carries.
Got to take off that 86, right? That 80, though.
Still got to take off 86.
I'm just saying. But but the 2 main runners did well, and this game didn't call for it to be a heavy run game. I mean, we were down most of the time, a lot of times. So it's like, we had to throw the ball a lot. So we couldn't run the ball like that anyway. So
no. And I know we can be critical at times. I mean, it's our team, so we always kind of try to dive into some of the things that we didn't like from our position groups because we hold them to a higher standard. I mean, we've been there, we know what it takes, and we obviously, when we want these guys to succeed, before we move on, actually, real quick, I do want to hit positives from everyone because, like I said, we won the football game at the end of the day, and I don't want to get into this whole negative mindset of things aren't perfect when we do hold Georgia to this incredible standard because they are the back-to-back national champs. It's still early in the season. We're not quite halfway there yet. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, and they're still finding ways to win football games. So, like, I'll finish off last week with a positive, and I'll let each of you finish with a positive too. My big positive is Carson Beck continues to play, I think, extremely well, and I think he plays really well in crunch time. Like, people are like, oh, well, it was because of Brock. Like, yeah, I get it, but until you're getting the ball in your hands under center and crunch time losing on the road and know what kind of big ass nuts you need to have to be making those type of throws in that situation, shut your mouth because you don't really know. You're sitting behind a TV, on a couch watching TV. Like, that is a big, what he's done in those games for South Carolina and on the road in Jordan-Hare and crunch time is something that the team now believes in him. And I think the coaching staff now believes in him too. That's, to me, I think this team is a contender even more now than ever because of the fact that I know that we have a guy that, just like Stetson, can get it done in crunch time. So that's my one positive. There's plenty of positive, but my one big positive I take away from the game. TK, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's kind of just that, but along the lines of more so the offense. I mean, we've all been down before. We've all been down 14 points before, and it feels like, especially away, man, it just feels like the weight of the world's on your shoulder. So that, bro, I think being resilient, Coach Bobo, hats off to him for finding ways to get guys going. I think that that's the biggest thing. I think that's the coolest thing I've taken from this team so far is that to know that we can take a punch. We can take a punch, we can take a hit and kind of just shake it off and keep fighting. So I think that's the coolest thing that I take from this team, I take from this game. But I don't want to keep having to do that, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ben, what's the big positive takeaway?
They're winners, and they're going to find a way to win. And when you're the champs, everybody's trying. The pressure's on them. We all know that. They all know, hey, we're going to get it done. Every team, then they mess it up. And I keep saying, it's on us, and thing. They're going to win it. Each end. If you give it up to Georgia and leave it up in their hands at the end of the game, they're going to find a way to win.
Yeah, they are. Knowshon, positive takeaway from last week?
I think that's it. Just pretty much what the guys said. That I know that they can fight, they can get it done at the end of the day, right? They can be in those close games and come out at the end of the tunnel with the victory. But that's it, really. That is it. That they can just play well, but they need to play better. But I know that they have some fight in them.
They do got some fight in them, that's for damn sure. All right, that's that. We were moving on. Georgia took care of business, 27-20 versus them Tigers. All right, let's look forward. One of the biggest games of the weekend. Undefeated Georgia hosts undefeated Kentucky, who just absolutely trounced on the University of Florida Gators last weekend. So they're feeling pretty good heading into this football game. They got a pretty good defense and a hell of a running game that ran for I think over 300 yards last week versus the Gators. I'll start with this. We just talked about how we love the resilience. We love the ways to win football games. And I'll start with Ben first. How vulnerable is Georgia?
Yeah. They have been taking blow after blow, and they keep getting up.
Yeah.
We're just trying to not get that knockout blow right now. And every week you're like, is it going to be this team? Is it going to be? And Kentucky has a team, but I don't think they have enough juice behind that punch. Yes, they got a good running game, but I don't think they can go out and score the points it's going to take to beat a Georgia. Like, we can go out there and throw the ball around the yard. They're one-dimensional. We're going to stop the run this week. I know them boys on defense are going to rally, and it's going to be a different run attack. They're not going to attack the edges like Auburn did. They don't have the speed, the dual threat with quarterback. So I like us. We're going to protect, and we're going to sling that ball around.
Yeah, I felt like last week was almost like defending a triple option, and we all know just watching our defenses go against Georgia Tech, that's a pain in the ass to prepare for, and it's tough.
They schemed
you're going
up
to give up yards.
Really nice.
They schemed up some good stuff.
Pulling the guys out there. That was some. I give them props.
Hugh Freeze is pretty damn good, and those quarterbacks are pretty damn fast. Knowshon, similar. I guess you go on the same thing. How vulnerable, or on top of that, how nerve-wracking are you now as a Georgia fan compared to the past years heading into games, knowing that they're not winning like they have in the past 40?
Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking for me. I think for all of us, for a lot of us, because we're used to seeing them go out there and just dominate, man. Both sides of the football. But you got to be understandable. You got to understand that each year is going to be different, right? So I understand that. But there is a bullseye on our backs, and there's a lot of holes. You know what I mean? That we're either going to have to get it fixed or be good in other areas to be able to cover that hole in the defense or in the offense. You know what I mean? So, definitely vulnerable. Teams see that, hey, this is not the Georgia of the old. I mean, they're still a really great team. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, a lot of great players, a lot of people that can hurt you on offense, a lot of good, great defenders that are game changers and that can change the course of a game on the defensive side, right? But it's just not the same team. You can get this team if you catch them slipping, and you can play a full game, a whole 60 minutes, right? So teams see that, and they're like, hey, we have a chance. So you got to smack them in the mouth and say, no, you don't, early, and don't wait till late.
I'm with you. TK, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most vulnerable, 1 being a walk in the park. Where are you putting Georgia at right now?
Man, I'd say probably a 6 or 7, probably only because we're not starting fast. And Knowshon, you just said it. You got to play a complete game. You got to play a complete football game. And that's what those teams that's coming in. That's what Kentucky's saying. Like, if we start fast and we jump out on them and stay on them, like, what? Nobody stayed on us. You know what I'm saying? So I think a 6 or 7, and that's pretty high, I would say.
I agree. It would be nice, and I think the big thing is just it would be so nice going into halftime up by 2 touchdowns, not tied or down. That is, you let Kirby kind of save some of those halftime speeches for later on the season. He's going to be going through his bag of tricks here pretty soon. You got to say some of that juice for SEC championship or playoff game. Ben, we talked about before the rotation of that offensive line. And I know Mims will solidify a lot on the right side. But at what point during a season, because you've been a bunch of part of offensive lines your whole life, obviously, played a lot of football, at what point do you just need to say, we know the right tackle spot may change, but the other 4 are our guys, and we just need to put those guys in there together for multiple games to build that chemistry, to build that communication? Does that need to happen now, or can they continue doing this for the next few weeks as the season continues?
That's what's hard, because our best 4 is Trust, Tate, Said, and Ernest. But we're having to bump Trust back and forth. So he can't go play guard. He's our next best tackle, so he's bumping out. He's going to be the one who has to go back to guard when Mims comes back. If it was early in the year, and I wish they would have moved Big Ernest in because we know Truss is a better tackle now than he is guard. Because you can protect Ernest and let him mature like we did Cordy and bump him out later in his career. But these 5 stars, you put him out there, you let him learn, and he's going to be a stud. But he's definitely had some learning plays, getting beat inside on a couple run plays and stuff backside. So he's going to be better when Truss comes back. I think it's going to be a better mesh. Now he's going to have 6 or 7 games under his belt once Mims is back.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. I think that's like the final piece, because I do think the passing game is about to explode here soon. And speaking of that passing game, TK, obviously Brock was Brock. I mean, freaking dude needs to be in New York, for goodness sakes. But how much can we continue to rely on him in the fourth quarter? Who do you want to see? If obviously I think McConkey would be that guy if he's fully healthy. But who else needs to step up, in your opinion, to take some pressure off 19 where he doesn't, you don't have to rely on him every single time to save us?
Yeah, I mean, I think Clark Kent will continue to be Superman, but Ladd obviously is a guy that'll come in and step up. 5, 6, Rah, Dom, those are guys that are completely capable of making plays, and you see glimpses of it. A guy that I love, and you keep seeing him every week. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson. You keep seeing him make plays. You keep seeing him make critical third down plays, getting behind the defense. We've got pieces, man. We've got pieces, and you just said it. I think this offense will begin to explode. And we're right there. You see like little plays like the Oscar Dutt play I mentioned earlier. We're right there, bro, from this thing busting wide open.
Yeah, and I do feel like Rara's improving every week. It feels like they're starting to trust him a little bit more. So we'll see. Knowshon, would you feel salty if they just gave up on the running game?
Come on, bro. Don't disrespect. Okay? You can never, abandon the run game. I mean, every game is you don't know what you're gonna get. Maybe one game, we're gonna have to rely on the run game super heavy. You know what I mean? And it might be next game. Who knows? And they got to work together. You know what I mean? They work together. They feed off each other to pass in the run game. Right? So
Kentucky's the number 2 rush defense in the SEC, only giving up 75 yards per game. It's that time, baby.
Yeah. They're physical.
Yeah,
they are very physical.
Mark Stoops, he got them boys playing. Like, he's had them playing for a while. Like, the defense is solid.
Yeah. I mean, and we're gonna have to stop that run, though. I mean, we are. I mean, that boy Ray Davis been running that thing hard.
They're gonna do some 9-on-7 this week. 1-on-1.
Dude, they do got some wideouts. It just hasn't been clicking with the transfer quarterback yet. He's been a little bit erratic, but they have the potential to be a more balanced offense.
You don't F with Leary.
And that's why I think that Georgia
rush defense. Who's the number 1 rush defense in the SEC? Take a guess. Number 1 rush defense.
Who want us to guess?
Alabama.
Nope.
Nah, Alabama, bro. It's Missouri, baby.
Yeah, it's Missouri.
It is Missouri.
Alabama's at 5 at 112 per game.
But
Georgia is at 113.
Who Missouri played? Vandy. Who else?
Kansas State.
That was their big dub, I think.
Hey, man. They just got to do what they got to do. They can't control who they play.
This guy here is a closet Missouri fan, bro. Swear. He love Eli.
Not me.
Closet.
They talking about me because I've been talking about them boys for like 2 years now. And finally they're starting to play a little bit.
I like them. I know. They're winning football. Hey, they got a chance to take down LSU this weekend. LSU can't play any defense, so.
Ooh, that's going to be a good game. I can't wait to see that.
Tiger versus Tiger. All right, before we wrap this thing up, appreciate you guys jumping on as always. Man, I've been just dog shit when it comes to score predictions.
I've been right on.
I need to stop betting on Georgia. I think I'm like 0 for 3 this year on gambling on Georgia. I don't know if I can. So give us. We'll start with our number 1 bet, not better, but score predictor. Knowshon, what's the score prediction for this weekend? Georgia is a 14.5 point favorite. By the way,
how much?
14.5. Last I saw. Yeah, I'll pull it up again, but.
Hey, it's going down. It was 16.
Was it really 16?
Yeah. It was 16 on Sunday night.
Woo! All right. What you got, Knowshon?
I think they're going to win by 10 or something like that. I'm gonna go. Give me another 20 piece. I'm gonna go 30 10, 30 to 20.
30
Georgia.
to 20. Ben, I'm trying to see what the over/under is on the game.
We smacking
Give me
them,
31.
boys. We're gonna
I
stop
always
the
do
run.
this.
We're smacking them. We're gonna come out. You know, hey, I got faith in my boys. I'm diehard over here. Knowshon, too realistic.
He said
He's
too
too
real.
Oh, hey,
realistic.
over/under 48, so not a super high game.
No,
They're
we're
thinking
gonna
like
beat
a
them.
28-20 game.
31.
Yeah, I need 31. 31 10.
That's cool.
All right, I like that. I'm a 31. I'm a 31
See?
17
I'm
it.
a
Sorry, I'm
28-13.
gonna switch mine.
I'm 28-13.
switching mine.
Give me 28-13.
28
Oh,
13.
man.
All right.
Murray, you need to go
I'm
like 20.
I'm going 28-20.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's about right though. That's
Hey,
about
man.
You're being
right.
realistic. I just want a
Kentucky,
donkey stomp. I'm waiting
I
for the
want
donkey stomp.
one too, but Kentucky, they got that the running back. They got receivers.
They're
Their
cocky.
defense is
They just
pretty
had a
damn
big
good.
win versus Florida. We had a hard week. We're gonna stomp on them.
Don't thump their
I would
ass.
love. I'm going to the game. Damn it! I would love to. Just my mom's like, man, it's gonna be a late night. We got to get back to the house.
You know what?
Can we leave at the end of the third quarter? I was like, Mom, if it's a close game, we ain't leaving at the end of the third quarter.
He's gonna be in that.
I said, if we're by double digits heading into the fourth, we could, pull the Allstate commercial and leave. But other than that, you're sucking it up. We stay for all 4 quarters.
Oh my goodness. Why?
So, I mean,
Maybe
I would
I
love
should've
to. I
thought
would
about
love for my mom to look at me like, "Hey, we got to go back because got to send the babysitter home." But I don't know if that babysitter's gonna be working until about 1:00 in the morning. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, that's it for this week show. Georgia Letterman, Ben Jones, Knowshon Moreno, Tavarres King, breaking it down. We appreciate everyone's support. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to get that highlight of Knowshon ending Tavarres' freshman year. Please send it to us, tag us, and we will see you next week.